The eternal fear of tomorrow. From the moment humans learned to look at the stars, we began to wonder, what comes next? Every culture developed rituals to interpret signs from the heavens, storms, or the movements of animals. Fear of tomorrow is carved into our DNA because survival has always depended on anticipating danger. In ancient Mesopotamia, priests believed eclipses were omens of a king's death. In Rome, generals would not march to war without consulting augurs who read the flight of birds. For thousands of years, prophecy was not just entertainment, it was survival strategy. And though today we rely on science instead of shamans, the question has not changed. What if disaster is coming and we're ignoring the signs? The power of prophecy in shaping civilizations. Prophecies were never just about prediction, they were about power. A leader who claimed to foresee the future held influence over entire nations. Nostradamus, writing in 16th century France, became advisor to kings because people believed his verses held glimpses of destiny. But prophecies often carried warnings too. They reminded humanity of its fragility. Floods, plagues, famine, war. The same recurring themes appeared across centuries and continents. What's chilling is that these same fears still dominate modern scientific reports. The symbols have changed, but the message is the same. Human civilization stands on the edge of forces it cannot fully control. Science as the new prophecy. In the modern era, the prophets wear lab coats. Their predictions don't come from visions, but from data. Yet the effect is eerily similar. Climate scientists publish models that sound like apocalyptic scripture. Oceans rising, cities drowning, deserts spreading, billions displaced. Epidemiologists warn of pandemics that could kill millions. And in 2020, we saw how quickly such a prophecy could become reality. Experts in artificial intelligence warn of a singularity, a moment when machines surpass human intelligence and may no longer need us. Military analysts warn of nuclear war, cyber war, and resource wars. Fire from the sky, but delivered by human hands. It no longer matters if we believe in mysticism. The scientific consensus itself has become a kind of prophecy, one based not on dreams, but on probabilities and evidence. The convergence of fear. Ancient prophecies often described singular events, a flood, a plague, the fall of a king. But what modern scientists fear most is not one disaster, it's many happening at once. They call it the Polycrisis, a perfect storm where multiple crises overlap and amplify each other. A climate disaster sparks mass migration. Mass migration sparks wars. Wars destabilize governments. Weak governments fail to contain pandemics. Pandemics collapse economies, fueling unrest. Unrest leads to authoritarian surveillance, deepening inequality. Each problem feeds the next until the whole system unravels. This is not prophecy in the mystical sense. This is systems theory. But its warnings are as dark as anything in religious scripture. The prophecy that feels inevitable. By 2050, we may look back and realize the warnings were clear all along. Prophets called it the end of days. Scientists call it civilizational collapse. Different words, same shadow. And this is why the prophecy that scientists fear carries so much weight. It is not about one disaster, but about the chain reaction that could end the story of humankind as we know it.
The ancient voices of destiny. Throughout history, humanity has been haunted by voices claiming to glimpse the future. Some spoke in riddles, others in visions. Their words traveled across centuries, sometimes forgotten, sometimes rediscovered with chilling relevance. Take Nostradamus, for example. His quatrains, written in 1555, are filled with cryptic images: fire from the sky, blood on the fields, the fall of kings. For skeptics, they are vague poetry. For believers, they are uncanny predictions of revolutions, wars, and even the rise of tyrants centuries later. Then there is Baba Vanga, the blind Bulgarian mystic. Born in 1911, she reportedly predicted 9/11, the rise of ISIS, and natural disasters that shook the world. Whether coincidence, interpretation, or genuine foresight, her reputation endures because people want to believe that someone can pierce the veil of tomorrow. And who could forget the Mayan calendar? For decades, many feared that December 21, 2012 marked the end of the world. While the planet did not collapse, that date became a cultural symbol of humanity's fascination and fear with the end. These prophets may not have had data or satellites, but their language, floods, fire, plagues, collapse, echoes through time. The modern prophets, scientists in lab coats. Today, the mantle of prophecy has shifted. The prophets of our age do not gaze into crystal balls, they analyze models, data sets, and probabilities. Yet the warnings they deliver are no less terrifying. Climate scientists describe a world where oceans rise, heat waves kill millions, and megacities vanish underwater. Epidemiologists warn of pandemics that could spread faster than COVID-19, killing far more. Technologists speak of artificial intelligence evolving beyond our control, replacing human labor and potentially human decision-making itself. Biologists warn of genetic engineering creating new classes of humans, leading to a fractured species. Security experts warn of nuclear escalation, cyber warfare, and authoritarian surveillance on a planetary scale. The difference between the mystics and the scientists is simple. Nostradamus spoke in metaphors. Modern science speaks in numbers. But the outcome they describe? Terrifyingly similar. When prophecy and science overlap. Consider this comparison. Nostradamus spoke of fire from the heavens. Today, astrophysicists warn of asteroids and comets capable of wiping out civilizations. Ancient texts spoke of plagues sent by angry gods. Scientists now warn of engineered viruses that could escape labs or be used as bioweapons. Prophets described a great flood. Climate data shows coastal cities sinking by mid-century. Mystics envision the end of empires. Political scientists warn that mass migration, famine, and war could destabilize entire nations by 2050. It is almost as if the symbols of the past were primitive translations of the same anxieties that haunt us today. The names are different, but the shadows are the same. The fear that unites all ages. What unites ancient prophecy and modern science is a single theme: fragility. Every empire believed itself eternal. Every civilization believed it was the pinnacle of history, yet none survived forever.
The Mayans collapsed. Rome burned. Egypt faded. And now, in the 21st century, scientists ask, are we repeating the same cycle, only this time on a global scale? The prophets warned us with metaphors. The scientists warn us with charts. But both point to the same possibility. Collapse is not a matter of if, but of when.
The new prophets, scientists of the 21st century. In the 21st century, prophets no longer speak from temples or mountaintops. They speak from universities, laboratories, and international conferences. Their prophecies are not written in poetry, but in scientific reports, yet their warnings are as apocalyptic as any ancient scripture. Unlike the mystics of the past, these modern prophets do not rely on visions. They rely on data. But what they see in the numbers frightens them, and if it frightens the scientists, it should terrify us all. Artificial intelligence, the singularity approaches. Perhaps the most unsettling warning comes from the field of artificial intelligence. By 2050, experts like Ray Kurzweil predict the arrival of the singularity, the moment when AI surpasses human intelligence. Machines that can outthink, outlearn, and outstrategize humanity may emerge, not gradually, but explosively. Nick Bostrom, philosopher at Oxford, warns that a super-intelligent AI might not hate us nor love us. It might simply see us as irrelevant. Imagine being ants in the path of construction workers. They don't hate the ants, they simply don't notice them. What if that's how AI sees us in 2050? Jobs may vanish, economies may collapse, and eventually, decision-making itself may no longer be human. Climate collapse, the silent apocalypse. If AI represents the technological threat, climate change represents the environmental prophecy. The IPCC warns that by 2050, sea levels could displace hundreds of millions of people. Heat waves may make entire regions uninhabitable. Food systems may collapse under drought and soil erosion. Wars may erupt, not for oil, but for water. Scientists describe tipping points, irreversible thresholds. Once the Amazon collapses or the polar ice sheets melt, the Earth will not return to balance. Humanity will face a new climate reality, one that may no longer sustain us. Where prophets once spoke of the Great Flood, scientists speak of data showing coastlines swallowed by the ocean. Pandemics, the return of the plague. The COVID-19 pandemic showed us how fragile our systems truly are, and yet epidemiologists warn that COVID may have just been a rehearsal. New viruses emerge as climate change pushes species closer together. Melting permafrost threatens to release pathogens frozen for millennia. Advances in biotechnology raise the risk of engineered viruses, pandemics designed by humans intentionally or accidentally. Ancient prophets spoke of plagues as divine punishment. Today, scientists fear plagues as the unintended consequences of our own arrogance. Genetic engineering, rewriting humanity. By 2050, the line between science and myth may blur completely. Scientists already use CRISPR to edit DNA. What begins as curing disease may evolve into designing intelligence, strength, and beauty. The wealthy may create children engineered for success. The poor may be left behind as naturals. Humanity itself may fracture into two classes, or even two species. Huxley warned of this in Brave New World, but unlike his fiction, the tools now exist, and scientists warn that without ethical boundaries, genetic engineering may not just change humanity, it may end it. Surveillance, the end of freedom. Finally, there is the prophecy of control. Scientists and analysts warn of a world where surveillance is total. Cameras on every street,
algorithms monitoring every message, social credit systems rewarding obedience, punishing dissent, biometric implants tracking health, emotions, even thoughts. Orwell imagined Big Brother in 1984. Scientists now warn that by 2050, Orwell's nightmare may feel like an understatement. And before we continue, let me ask you this. If these warnings resonate with you, don't just watch in silence. Hit the like button to support this work. Tell us in the comments which of these prophecies scares you the most, and subscribe to Archives of the Future, because the next revelation may be even darker. The Polycrisis, a convergence of prophecies. Each of these warnings is terrifying on its own, but what scientists fear most is their convergence. AI disrupts economies, causing instability. Instability prevents nations from solving climate change. Climate disasters fuel pandemics and migration. Migration sparks wars, leading to authoritarian surveillance. One prophecy feeds another until the world collapses under the weight of all of them combined. This is the prophecy scientists fear most, not a single disaster, but the unraveling of civilization itself.
The fragility of civilization. Every empire in history believed itself eternal. The Romans believed their empire would never fall. The Mayans carved their calendar into stone. The Egyptians raised pyramids to outlast time itself. Yet all collapsed. What scientists fear most about the 21st century is that our civilization, the first truly global empire, is just as fragile. Unlike Rome or Egypt, we are interconnected. A single spark in one corner of the globe can ignite the entire system. This is why the prophecy that frightens scientists is not about a flood, a war, or a plague. It is about collapse itself, not of one nation, but of civilization as a whole. The Polycrisis. The term many scholars use is polycrisis, a convergence of multiple crises feeding and amplifying one another. A climate disaster destroys crops. Famine fuels political unrest. Unrest sparks war. War spreads pandemics. Pandemics collapse economies. Economic collapse fuels authoritarianism. Authoritarianism deepens inequality, leaving billions desperate. The prophecy is not a single event. It is a domino effect, each disaster amplifying the next until the system itself crumbles. The philosophers of collapse. Writers and thinkers have long warned of such outcomes. George Orwell imagined a world where freedom was crushed by surveillance and fear. Aldous Huxley feared a world enslaved by pleasure and distraction. Isaac Asimov questioned whether machines could one day replace morality itself. Yuval Harari describes the rise of Homo Deus, a godlike species of engineered humans, leaving the rest obsolete. Stephen Hawking warned that technology could destroy us before we learn to master it. Each one, in their own way, described collapse not as a possibility, but as a trajectory. Collapse in literature and science. Literature has always imagined collapse as fire, war, or plague. In The Road, Cormac McCarthy shows us a world reduced to ash. In Brave New World, Huxley warns of collapse through comfort, not violence. In 1984, Orwell shows us collapse through control. Meanwhile, science describes collapse in charts, models, and probabilities. But when you strip away the data, the message is the same. The world may not end in one dramatic event. It may wither, piece by piece, until one day we realize civilization has already died. The endgame of hubris. What makes this prophecy so haunting is that it is not external. It is not an asteroid or an alien invasion. It is us. Our technology, our greed, our refusal to change.
The very tools that gave us dominance over Earth may become the weapons of our undoing. This is the prophecy scientists fear most, that humanity will not fall by chance, but by choice.
The mirror of 2050. As we stand on the threshold of 2050, the future is no longer a distant horizon. It is a mirror, reflecting the choices we make today. The prophets of the past gave us metaphors. The scientists of the present give us data. Yet both deliver the same message: the future is fragile. What we face is not an inevitable destiny, but a branching path. One road leads to collapse, the other to survival. The terrifying truth is that the choice lies not with fate or the gods, but with us. Warnings from the past, urgency in the present. Orwell warned of surveillance. Huxley warned of distraction. Asimov questioned our dependence on machines. Harari warns of engineered humans. Hawking warned of extinction through arrogance. These warnings are not random. They are signposts pointing toward the same cliff. They tell us that collapse does not come suddenly. It creeps closer as we ignore the signs. In ancient times, prophets were dismissed until disaster proved them right. Today, scientists risk the same fate. Their reports, charts, and models are often met with apathy, denial, or outright rejection. But prophecy ignored is prophecy fulfilled. The most haunting aspect of this prophecy is not its inevitability, it is its avoidability. We have the knowledge to slow climate change, the ability to regulate AI, the tools to prepare for pandemics, the wisdom to guide genetic engineering, and the power to resist surveillance. The future is not written, but ignoring these warnings is like ignoring the smoke before the fire. By 2050, the flames may already consume us. And yet, within this darkness, there is hope. For prophecy has always had a dual nature, not only to predict doom, but to inspire change. The prophecy of the flood inspired Noah to build the ark. The prophecy of collapse can inspire us to transform. The fear of extinction can ignite the will to survive. If humanity listens, adapts, and acts, the future of 2050 could be not an end, but a beginning, a rebirth, a chance to become wiser than we have ever been. The prophecy that scientists fear is not one of certainty, it is one of warning. If we act, we may rewrite it. If we ignore it, we may live it. The choice belongs to us. This was Archives of the Future. If you believe the warnings of science matter, if you want to uncover more of the shadows that may shape our destiny, then join us. Like this video, share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think humanity can escape this prophecy? Subscribe now and don't miss the next revelation. Because the future is not far away, it is already here.